The point system sucks. So today I saw Clam Rally's new video defending the point system within Black Ops 6. And we're going to go over each point he brings up and counter them effectively.
The point system. Probably the most divisive single mechanic in this game that impacts the whole game and how it's played. The old versus the new. Which one's better for zombies? You might be quick to answer that by saying the old system. But what if I told you? No. I think the point system is just fine the way it functions with the earn points per kill instead of earn points per shot. Linearly increasing point costs for perk purchases are better than the stagnant cost that the perks had in the classic days, and salvage is definitely a welcome addition to the point economy. And while I do think the old point system might work in this new game, I do think it's important to give this point system a fair shot and kind of explain how the system works and why it's done like this. And here and there, I'm going to be referencing CJ Santa's video about the point system. There's a couple things I'll bring up as to what I liked about it, but also a couple things as to what I didn't like about it. But the guy, he seems cool. Like, go check out his channel. We can disagree and just live in harmony. Like, we can coexist like that. And I would like to continue the conversation like that. And if anyone disagrees with me, I'd love to hear about it as well.
You're gonna hear about it.
So just want to put that up front. No hate to the guy at all. Always keep things civil. And I want to at least give him a little bit more proper criticism than some other people around here.
Good diss, I love to see it.
But here's my problem with that. Historically, I've loved zombies for a multitude of reasons. But there was one thing in particular that I really did not like doing. High rounds. The reason I don't like high rounding in the old games is because, to be honest, I think they're incredibly boring and just not engaging at all. Not to say that someone can't find that fun. Clearly, people grind the high rounds of the older games all of the time. And when they do get these crazy high rounds, I'm like just in utter awe with how dedicated someone can be to get those insane rounds. Like, nothing short of absolute respect to these guys. Like, y'all are insane. I could never do that. Me personally, I just don't really like old game higher rounds for many reasons. And I actually do think there are legitimate flaws in the system, with the biggest one for me being the point system. And I want to clarify, when I say high rounds, I'm not talking crazy like 1, 2, 300. I'm more so kind of just talking like when you start getting to the high rounds, like where the progression ends and then the high rounds start. Usually between like 35 or 40 to 50. I would say what the average player considers a high round. Like, if I'm just trying to hop on a game of Kino, right? The most common old school zombies map. Kino or like Doris or something like that, right? I'm going through the map like normal, and by round 25, guys, I have every single thing that I need and more. All my perks, both my guns pap. What else do I need to spend my points on? Absolutely nothing, except for when I go down and have to rebuy only my perks. And even then, I have way more points than I know what to do with. The points that I've saved up eventually start to have no value anymore because I'm just given the points only by shooting and not even killing, only by shooting. But realistically, by round 25, I'll have like 18,000 points. The value of the points is gone because I have enough right now to buy my perks back twofold. And mind you, I'm on round 25. At round 30, I have 33,000 points. Like, actually, what the hell else am I going to spend my points on? Claymores? Grenades? No. I think you guys are kind of starting to see my point. If we're rewarded for getting things done early, then we'll have nothing to do in the later round because I'm literally just done everything so early. And you wind up having this giant pool of points to use on nothing. You could spend your money on traps, but it only seems like the most viable strats are like camping strategies. Mind you, I'm very well aware there's more than just camping strategies, but at least for the point system, you had so many points even when you went to buy those traps over and over again. Hell, at least in Black Ops 2, there was other things to go after like buildables, but you didn't even have to spend your points on those. And that's just what became boring to me. But in the later rounds, the whole draw to zombies in the first place to get to a higher round, they sucked. Here's the perfect example of what I mean by this. You have to respin the mystery box a bunch of times to get thunder gun ammo again when you run out of it because the thunder gun doesn't make drops. And if traps and the mystery box are the only thing I can spend my points on when I'm only at round 32, I just don't want to do that. I'm done with the game at this point. Like, not to say that round 32 is a low round of zombies by any means. Like, that's a decently healthy game of zombies. But I had been running around with my player maxed out for like 10 rounds at this point. I'm done. I don't want to have to keep spinning the mystery box for the most viable weapon. So for me, that's where the fun ends. And that's where I want to transition into talking about the new point system. The old point system wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows like people are saying it was. And to imply that it had little to no flaws is looking at it a little bit too rose tinted.
Okay, so claim one he makes is that with the old point system, points were devalued over time, and you were able to get set up way earlier than you do now because of it. And those high rounds somehow sucked because of the point system. His evidence is the fact that you had to respin the box for ammo for the wonder weapon when you ran out. Okay, so number one, points never lose their value over time at all. The points you have in the later rounds are just as useful in the early rounds, because either way, they are your lifeblood. Some high rounds are actually only possible because of the old point system. Nuketown is a perfect example of this. There is no infinite damage weapon on this map, meaning you quite literally have to spam every single weapon possible to deal damage in the later rounds. You cannot kill anything in those later rounds because there is no effective way to kill zombies. If the new point system was in this map, there would quite literally be zero way to actually even get around 50. And in reality, the ammo problem you were describing doesn't really have much to do with the point system itself. It's just the game mechanics surrounding the point system. Not only that, but your poor decision making skills. I mean, bro, it's round 32. You can still use bullet weapons, or just use traps at your disposal to kill zombies until a dog round happens to get a max ammo. What I just described to you is actually planning and strategy, and for some reason, you are arguing against that.
I think people tend to think Treyarch is just doing things for no reason, but each decision that has been made has really changed up the game to make it more engaging to get to higher rounds, which is the draw to zombies in the first place. Play a fun game with engaging progression to get to a higher round. Now, there's a bunch of different reasons in Black Ops 6 as to why high rounds aren't as fun, but I don't think points is the reason for that. If it wasn't clear already, I think the early games' progression was just a little too fast. But in BO6, since the progression is kind of stretched out a little more, it feels like I'm progressing further and I'm not getting bored as fast.
The progression isn't just stretched out further, it's quite literally gatekept. Early game strategy is damn near non-existent because of this linear way of progressing through the game.
And I am fully aware that high rounds are supposed to be this kind of coveted thing that only a very small percentage of people get to. But if you can add like another 10 to 15 rounds on top of the progression that Black Ops 1 already had, then I think you're golden.
They have already done that with this triple packed system in Salvage. They have added things that are separate from the point system in order to give you that extended progression. So I don't understand why in specific the old point system would be an issue in this game.
I think that's a good thing. I think the average higher round in Black Ops 6 is much more engaging than the higher round in Black Ops 1 or 2. And even though there are definitely tweaks that need to be made to this system for sure, that I will be getting into, Treyarch has listened to our feedback and made progression feel better while also making the game feel difficult. People are saying, oh, just put in the old point system. I don't know why they don't do it. Here's exactly why. If you got as many points as you do in this old point system, nothing would feel rewarding. There's a reason they capped out as many points as they did on each zombie, because they wanted to innovate in other areas, with the perfect example being augments.
Okay, I'm not even going to talk about why the fuck he's bringing up augments right now, but we are going to address his second main claim, which is that the old point system being in this game would make the game not feel rewarding. Now, this is the absolutely most absurd thing I have ever heard, because the progression in the older games does feel rewarding, because quite literally you are rewarded. If you strategize with different weapons and strategies within the old point system, you are rewarded with literally more points. You aren't rewarded at all within this new point system because there is no strategy. I don't feel rewarded or punished or quite literally anything with this new system, because the only thing that matters is whether I shoot their head or not, and that's it. The only time I'm punished is when I go in for a melee kill, which by the way is just the stupidest thing ever.
Let's go back to how the augments affect this point system. Being this powerful has to come with a cost, and the points/time to get those points is that cost. The game might feel too easy if you can get all the abilities together at once early. which is why I like the increasing price for perks every time you get another one. It's not only the perk you're buying. It's that mixed with the augments with the perks that also make you more powerful. Perks affect other perks. It's not just buy a perk and then it just has its own abilities. You can combine things together. That's why it costs so much. If I had to guess, they probably did want to try out an old point system in this game, but with all the stuff that they added in, they probably felt that you were getting stuff a little too fast, so they wanted to stretch it out. And I think that's okay because things are more powerful.
Bro, what? No, dude. The cost associated is the fact that the perks scale up in price, not the entire point system being absolutely trash.
And I'm going to bring up this video again by CJ Santa. Again, no hate at all to you at all. I really like this video, but I think a little bit more could have been put into why the point system could potentially be good.
But BO6 takes it even further and makes the point system even worse. You see, because of the amount of bosses that the game spawns in, and how little points they drop when you kill them, it causes players to waste their ammo and not even be able to get it back in a lot of ways for the mid-rounds.
My argument for this is that while I do agree more points need to drop from these elite enemies for sure, it's not like that's any different than the old games. In Black Ops 2, when you kill a Panzer, you get 100 points. Are you fucking serious? I fucking never realized that back in the day. At least they changed it in Black Ops 3 to where you get 1500 points per Panzer, and you can't rebuy ammo for your box weapons. You can in this game. You can just refill your stock. That is the difference between that and this.
Okay, but even within your counter argument, you can still fire into that entire horde behind you and get a reliable amount of points back, which you cannot do in this game, which is why it is a much bigger issue that CJ rightfully brought up.
The new point system is terrible. It's strangling the player base into having less and less variety in what they can actually use and how they can change their strategies mid-match. Remember how easy it was being able to change what gun you wanted mid-match? All you had to do was just spin the box and say, "Oh, I want to switch to that," and just do it. Now you're sunk in so deep with whatever gun you've chosen early game that it feels you have no real option to change, which kills variety and replayability more than you may think.
And this is a little bit more nuanced because I fully agree that things really do cost a whole lot. And I do think some things can be changed about that. But you are way more powerful than you were in these games, so it should cost more. And I think that the ratio of power to cost is closer to being fair here than a game like Black Ops 3. And I think being able to switch on the fly like that would make things far too easy. Progression of your guns in this game is way deeper than progression in the early games. So I think it should cost more and take longer to earn.
That's not true though, because either way, if I pull out a green rarity gun on round 30, it's not going to do anything whether I triple pack it or not. But at least with the old point system, I could shoot into the horde to regain points to spin the box for a better weapon. The issue is with the salvage system, which you never bring up within your arguments because it disproves your entire point. The old point system would make spinning the box a lot less punishing without entirely impacting your power level, because you still need to increase the rarity of your weapons.
But here's the thing, I don't think one is better than the other. I think it's just more of a preference thing. And to talk about your point about the variety, the progression and variety may not be more so like gun to gun, going from a weaker, more point-based gun to a powerful gun, but more so progression with how you earn the powerful stuff. The old system may have given you points with the guns you used, but I think we don't actually give enough credit to the things that are actually useful in this game, like things like grenades or other lethal equipment in the later rounds, but they aren't incredibly overpowered. In the older games, these things served almost no purpose. Like in the early rounds, sure, but like after you get past a certain point, you're not using grenades anymore other than to maybe make a crawler. In some cases, equipment can be better than a gun, and that's what we should want, more variety with how you play the game.
That's still not true. Go look at Mob of the Dead or Ascension or fucking Shadows of Evil, the Hell's Retriever, Gersh Device, Little Arnie's. These are equipment that were still incredibly impactful and viable because of their damage and utility, and it's in the exact same way that the newer games are as well. And to act like gun progression is not not the main factor of earning points in this game, when the highest amount of points you can earn is with a headshot from a bullet weapon, is absurd. So no, CJ is entirely correct.
Also, traps actually give you points in this game, which is another thing that spreads those points out in other areas rather than solely on a gun, which encourages more things to be used on a map because it will add to your currency like it never did with the old point system, even though the zombie despawn distance has to be increased.
You are correct, but this is an improvement that could also be added onto the old system. It's not exclusive.
Hell, even kill streaks are another option to use. They have their own big problems on their own, admittedly, but they also add to the variety. Like, the variety is there, but it's in other areas instead of just progressing your gun, which is definitely something to dislike if you prefer the old system. But you can't say there isn't variety anymore. It's just in a different way.
Yet again, that's not exclusive to the new system. You would be earning points with score streaks with the old system as well. Gun variety is a massively important thing, and it's something this game does not have at all. And that's a problem. A problem caused by this point system.
And with the guns, you can use just as many, if not more types of guns in this game to get to higher rounds than in the old games. That's something that killed variety. Only feeling like I could use a wonder weapon and not being able to use things like shotguns or snipers once I got to the later rounds.
You can't use those things in this game either. Why are we acting like you can? By round 50, the only thing you are using is a wonder weapon, score streak, and Mustang and Sally's, which score streaks being in the equation is not a good thing at all because they kill high round strategies entirely. Because all you do is just spam them, which is another thing I will talk about in another video.
Because the point system is somewhat fixed, they can focus on making other guns more powerful, like shotguns and snipers, that were historically ignored. And I think that's much more of a problem than just, oh, it's one little problem. I think a whole weapon type not being used that much is a big problem. Like, who looked at the L96, the Stakeout, the HS10, and guns similar to that and were like, oh yay, let me keep these guns?
Those weapons sucked because they did garbage damage, but something like the KSG or Haymaker were amazing in these earlier games because of their damage. The conversation is more nuanced than that, because a weapon, even in the older games, it wasn't just good for points, it also was good for damage. I saw tons of people, including me, using the KSG on Origins to kill the Panzer because it was really fucking good at it. But the guns that you just listed, they didn't have good damage or give you points at all. That's why they were useless. But even in Black Ops 2, snipers did incredible damage and were used a ton because of their damage. And not only that, but Buried had a perma perk that rewarded you for using snipers to give you more points.
You don't need a point gun anymore. This is a whole new style of game. But here's the thing, right? There's going to be tiers and metas to weapons no matter what. And I think it's important in a game like this. Like, who's gonna take the CZ75s to round 35? Like, that seems like utter hell. But in this game, I gave it a try with the 9mm Makarov pistol, and I could get to round 35 with relative ease. It started capping out about there, but like, look, I ain't ashamed to say I ain't a high round player, but I'm above average when it comes to, like, I would say the regular player. So I just wanted to give it a try, and I did it like first try.
Yeah, but that's because of triple pap, not because of the point system. A triple papped CZ would make it to 35 as well, no doubt.
And it's not like ARs and SMGs are just not a part of the meta at all. Like, they have larger ammo pools, so you're able to proc your ammo mod more often, I would say. Like, the fucking PP has almost, I'm slinging almost 400 bullets downrange with this big drum. And that's not to mention the Deadshot Daiquiri augment that makes it so that if you hit a critical point, it has a chance to put the bullet back into your magazine. Like, that itself is also good in boss fights. Like, if you have that on an LMG and you're just hitting crits, a bunch of ammo is just gonna go back into your mag and you're just gonna be able to keep shooting. Like, that's probably really, really good. You guys can probably tell at this point, I played a lot of Destiny back in the day. But I think you're starting to get my point here. Like, there's more variety and more nuance than just, oh, this gun doesn't give me points, why would I even use it? Like, there's plenty reasons to use other guns as well. I think the only thing that's making it seem like it's not as much variety is the loadout system. That is 100% where I agree with you, where I really don't think we need this loadout system. It ruins things like the mystery box and the wall buys. The way you get the gun is when you load into the map and you get all these guns that are in the map. You don't just walk in with one. I really don't like it, but I just don't think it has anything to do with making the point system worse. You are overall more powerful in this game game than you used to be. So I think the point system needs to be the thing that balances that out.
Salvage and rarities already do that though. This is what I'm saying when I mean you cannot keep ignoring this entire system.
Or at least, that's what I enjoy about it. That's kind of what I disliked about Black Ops 3. Every gun had this insane potential with the AATs that costed almost nothing compared to how powerful they were and how far they could take you in the game. But in this game, you actually have to save up points and salvage to earn the power of the perks and ammo mod augments.
Yes, that is a big problem with Black Ops 3, but yet again, the ammo mod system has fucking nothing to do with the point system. You use salvage for that. So why is it even in the conversation?
And they managed to make the AATs feel not crazy overpowered while also making them really good. You have to actually think about what you want to spend your points on this game. Am I going to buy a door? Am I going to buy a perk? Am I going to buy armor? What am I going to do here? As opposed to just getting Jug first thing and then just getting the perks in the sequential order that you usually get them in.
You did this exact same thing with the old system. You don't get Juggernog in this game because you can take 1,000,000 hits to down in the early round, not because of the point system. You don't need Juggernog by round 8 in this game like you do in the other ones because you don't go down in 2 hits in Black Ops 6. This is what I keep saying when I mean you are attributing things to the newer point system and they have nothing to do with it. And I keep hearing the claim, not just from you, but from others as well, that the old point system would make the early game progression way too fast. And I'm going to show you how factually wrong you are. So I did a test between 3 different games between Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 6 and seeing the total amount of points I earned in the span of 5 rounds. And these are my results from Black Ops 1 and then these are my results from Black Ops 6. And just to clarify before we even delve into the data I'm presenting you today, I'm going to have a ton of people up my ass about what the hell, how were you even playing the game then? Okay, yeah, I was point maxing, okay? Go look at the gameplay behind you that you're looking at right now. I'm point maxing. But anyway, regardless, as you can see, the difference in points earned is really not that massive. I mean, what? On average, you get like 1,000 to 2,000 more points earned in those early rounds. That's not incredibly substantial at all. So I have absolutely no clue why people think you were earning like 20,000 points per round 5, because that's just ridiculous. The only thing that mattered when it came to getting me more points within Black Ops 6 was simply luck. But in the older games, it wasn't just luck, it was strategy. But that's completely gone within this game, and it's depressing. And what makes no sense either is that your entire argument is centered around having the progression take longer, but then you go ahead and suggest lowering prices of things and then also increasing the amount of points you earn. Do I even need to explain how this makes no sense at all? You cannot tell me that progression needs to take longer and then give me ideas that make the progression shorter. Like, do you see how this quite literally makes no sense at all? And then you suggest adding rare salvage back, which is just an awful idea, but I'm not even going to talk about it today. Now, the rest of his video is basically just trying to calm the community down and being a nice guy, which is all fine and dandy. I love Clam, I really do, but I just don't agree with his points. I've made it really clear why, and I hope that after you guys watch this video, you don't go and attack him yourself, because I'm just not for that either. Now, I'm going to continue talking about another big gaping flaw with this point system, and it's death. If you are playing co-op within this game and you die, you are fucked. You see, imagine it's round 38. You go down with no one to revive you. And then the next round you come back and see this. Are you fucking kidding me? How are you even supposed to come back? You don't even have enough points for triple pack. On top of that, you've got super sprinters on you with absolutely no perks or way to kill them. If the old system was here, you would be fine. But because the new system is kill based, you have literally no way of coming back at all. And it's a fucking joke. Another thing I saw as well, and this came from CJ Santa, that this point system is here specifically because of loadouts, but that's not true. Give me one reason that the old system wouldn't work with loadouts. Genuinely. It makes no sense. You don't do too much damage or anything, so I see no reason for the old system to not work in this game. And I guess going back to the previous data I showed you, you're all probably shocked that the points earned are so close together. And the reason for that is that they increased the total amount of zombies that spawn on the early rounds in order to keep up with the old system. So I guarantee you Treyarch did a similar study to me and decided to balance it in this way. Another thing as well is that basically no power-ups spawn in the early game at all compared to the older games. So if you still want to use the increased spawn rate as a counter to me, then go ahead, but it's not going to go well for you. Overall though, the new system is an absolute downgrade and I despise it genuinely. Hopefully the next game has the old system with some improvements or something, or be a force system at the least. Anyway, bye.